Hi everyone, here's a tutorial overview for type exercise 1 for my Art G106 or Mat 155 beginning typography classes. You'll see when you download the PDF, you'll get a file here. Now if you just download it and then you open it and by double clicking on it, it'll open as a PDF and you'll be able to review it. Please go through all of the directions thoroughly because there are some very specific requirements. Okay, I mean essentially what you're doing is you're picking 4 characters. Okay, a capital, a lowercase, and 1 numeral between 0 and 9, and then 1 punctuation mark. Okay, from the same typeface. So you want to make sure that all 4 of your pages, all 4 of your squares on each page, so 16 squares total, all are characters from the same font. Okay, that's very important. So in square 1, you're going to show the letter in its entirety, and where you put it is up to you. I'd say it's good to start a little smaller in square 1. It looks nice when you have a bit of scale contrast between the 4 squares, and square 1 is a good opportunity to just go a little bit smaller. Where it sits depends on the character, so the S feels good naturally in the center. Some might feel better in the lower left corner. Some might feel better in the upper right, etc. Okay? But don't just throw it into there randomly. Please make sure you take as much time to consider where this one is placed as you do any of the other squares, okay? In square 2, you're going to incorporate a bleed. So you're going to bleed, whether it's on one side or 2 sides. So you're scaling up to do that. And you still want it to be somewhat recognizable as the character that it is, okay? So you're going to bleed that one, and you're going to incorporate the bleed. And so the bleed means it extends beyond the border, at least we perceive it to do so, okay? We want to cut it off and have it bleed off the edges, so we're not looking at the overhanging elements. And then in the 3rd and 4th squares, which are essentially the same composition, just in reverse, you're going to make sure that you abstract it to where the character is not identifiable. So you're going to probably scale up, maybe rotate it, etc., okay? And here's what one page would look like, okay? So this is the 4 squares, 4 different sizes, and this is what you essentially want for all 4 pages. This is a cap M. Now you're going to do a lowercase letter of your choice, a numeral from 0 to 9, and then a punctuation mark. So you have 16 squares total. And then here's the template that you're going to be working with, okay, to set it up. It's already set up for you. So what I really want to do is I'll do this in Illustrator, which is where you want to do this exercise. Just click and drag the assignment, the exercise, into Illustrator, and then it'll give you this dialog, and you'll decide, okay, what page do I want? You want to open page 3, so make sure you go to range 3 of 3 and go ahead and open that up. And now you're going to see your page, okay? Now, the easiest way to, this is only 1 page and you need 4, okay? So what I would probably do is make sure that my artboards are showing, okay? So you can go to Window Artboards. If it has a check mark by it, you can tell that it is already up, and I see it here, okay? So my artboards are here. And I have 1 artboard. So what I'm going to do for ease is just to click on this artboard, and then I'm going to go to New Artboard. In fact, what I want to do is duplicate artboard. That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. You want to click on your artboard and go to Duplicate Artboards, okay? And it'll give you a second one, all right, which is just artboard 1 copy, and do the same thing, okay? This is kind of there's maybe a quicker way to do it, but there you go. You have your 4 pages now, okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is going to be what you're required to submit for your final PDF. Now the nice thing is when you're done, if you go to File, Save As, or let's see, yeah, I'll just go to Save As. You can select as a PDF and save it as a PDF, and it should save all your artboards for you, which we'll do at the end here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in a letter. In fact, I'm going to start with a numeral. How about 3? Okay, and I just clicked on my type tool there, and I'm going to scale this up by holding Shift, which is very important. Okay. Now, what I'm also going to do, I'm not happy with that typeface. I'm going to go ahead and pick something that's bold, and I think Futura bold might be nice for this, okay? What you choose is up to you. I just like the look of the bold sans serif for this, okay? So I know that, okay, in my first square, I want to go a little smaller, as I mentioned. First thing I'm going to do is once I have my character on the page that I've selected, and remember all 4 pages you're going to work from the same font. So they're all going to be Futura bold, you're just going to have different characters, okay? Or whatever font you prefer. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Type, with my 3 selected here, I'm going to go to Type, Create Outlines. So it's no longer type, it is a vector object, okay? This is much easier to work with, to scale up and down. You don't have that big type dialog box. You know, if I start to really scale up, I just reversed it here, I Command Z, and I start to mess around with this, I see that this whole dialog box is a hassle to work with. So again, I go to Type, Create Outlines, and it's just much more containable, okay? Now I'm going to scale this down again holding Shift, and where this feels best in square 1 will be, you know, I'm not going to take the time now just because of, you know, we don't want to bore I don't want to bore you to death here while I'm trying to move this around in a square. You know, I don't have the exact size of the type. I'm going to really trust my eye here and decide, okay, does that look good, or would I prefer it, you know, up maybe a little smaller here, holding Shift? Do I like it there? Do I prefer it here? You know, for me, this one works pretty well in the upper right. It could work well in the center as well, which, you know, I think I'll do. If you wanted to, if you go to View, Rulers, Show Rulers, which is just Command or Control R, you could just quickly draw out some guides by clicking on your rulers here, and there you go. And then I can click on this and just, not too bad there optically, and then just push it down a little bit. And I know I'm pretty much in the center there, okay? So I'll leave that one there for now. You can scale up and do, you know, scale up or down and work on placement. I'll now drag this over. So I'll click on this and I'll hold Option, and I'll bring it over, which will make a copy for me. So that would be Alt on your PC. And now I want to scale it up because I know that in this square, I want it to be larger. I want it to bleed off an edge, but I also want to be able to tell what it is, okay? So I'm going to eyeball this, and let's see, maybe that'll work, maybe a little bit bigger. I want to watch for any little slivers of odd, you know, negative space and things, so just be careful of that. I'm going to eyeball that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this box, I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and then I'm going to go to Edit, Paste in Front, okay? Now, one thing that is important to mention that I failed to mention is whatever you're going to mask a shape into, because I'm going to create a clipping mask in order for this to bleed off the edge without showing it overhanging. Let's say the container here is the square. I want to make sure that that object is always in front or on top of whatever the item is that I'm going to mask, okay? So in this case, I know that I have 2 squares here because I copied that. And the reason I copied that is because when I go to mask this, so what the first thing I have to do is I'm going to select my container, and then I'm going to Shift and click on my object here, so that allows me to click both items. I'm going to go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, okay? And now the nice thing is I still have this frame here, and if I didn't, if I delete that one, pardon me, if I was to delete the frame back here, you'll see that what happened is when I masked my shape or my object here, the frame went away. Okay, which happens when you have a stroked container that you're masking something into. So that's why I put that extra one in the back or on top, and so now I know that when I mask it, I'll have that frame sitting there, so I don't have to mess with it. Okay, this is an okay bleed. I might want to mess around and push it around a bit more. I don't mind the placement. If I wanted to move it around and I have a masked object, the best thing to do would be to double click on that, and then you have this clip group here, okay? It turns it into isolation mode, and now I can select this 3 and move it around, okay? If I don't do that, I'm gonna move the whole mask around, you know, the mask and the object, okay? And then I can decide, what do I want to do here? Do I want to bring it up a little bit more? Now the first thing I'm going to do if I do this is go, do I like those? I don't mind those because there's enough space there to make it work. If you get kind of tight and it gets, you know, a little tense for the eye, like that, I'm not digging that, okay? So you can decide and push it around to exactly where you want it, okay? I'm going to click off here in this gray area, and now if I click and try to move it again, I'm moving both items, okay? So that's my box 2. I know that now what I want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and go back over here because this one isn't masking, it's just easier to maneuver. I'm going to Option and drag that one over, and I'm going to scale this one way up, okay? Because I want this one to be abstracted, and I'm going to even rotate it. Now, the easiest way to rotate an object, when I have it selected, I have it with my black arrow, I have it selected, I just go to R, and then I can start to rotate it, okay? And I can rotate it from right in the middle. I can put my axis over here and rotate it from there. Okay, so you have some freedom there of exploration. I'm going to go back to my black arrow. I'm going to scale this up more because I don't think that's going to abstract it enough for me. Okay, and now I know it's tricky when I'm not masking the object yet. I'm kind of eyeballing it. I'm just freestyling it here a little bit to see how it'll work. Okay, and sometimes you have a tricky character that you're working with, and it's just how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and see what that gets me. There, maybe a little bit better. And it's going to be a tricky one with these curves. I chose a challenging character here. And you can use your arrows here to bump it around if you need to. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my box, and remember I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, and with it still selected, I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste in Front. Okay. So now I already know that I have an item in front, and I can use it as a container. I can shift click on my, well, be careful, shift click on your other character and go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and it masks it for me. And the nice thing is I already have that one behind there, so it didn't disappear. I'm not loving this. I think it's close, but if I double click on here, I can move this around. Again, I'm probably going to have to scale it up. Or even you could scale it down and see how that works for you. Not loving that space there. In fact, let me click off there. And I'm going to go back. And that's, ooh, see that little space up there, that little sliver? I don't want that. And now when I do it down here, you can see a little sliver there. So you're going to have to keep pushing it around. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Okay, there's enough white there to make it work. You know, is it the best composition? I could probably play with it more, okay? So now what I want to do for the last one is I essentially want to take this and reverse it, okay? And this just seems counterintuitive, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and delete this box, okay? Just seems crazy, but I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to click on this box, and I'm going to hold Option. Well, I'm going to move it first. I'm going to hold Option and Shift, which would be Alt and Shift on your PC. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking this top one, and you can see it doesn't have a stroke on it. Okay. But I do know that it's aligned at that exact edge of the square of the container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this here and Shift click on my box above, and then I'm going to go to Window, Align. So I get my Align palette here. Oh shoot, my Align palette here. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to align them on the horizontal align right. Okay, so now I know that my objects are aligned exactly as they should be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this to get it into isolation mode again. I'm going to click on the type, and I know that I want that to be white because I'm reversing it here. It's kind of a hassle depending on the file. The file, sometimes your swatches will be built in, sometimes they won't. So if you needed to, you can go to the color and just make it white. Okay. And then you can add that white to your swatches palette. Okay, that's an easy way to do that. Now you're like, oh man, where's my box? Okay, which is a little bit tricky. What you could do is now click off the isolation mode. Holding now use your white arrow and just click, you know, to feel it around a little bit where the box might be. There's the box, okay? And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make that 100% black, okay? So essentially, I have that last box reversed. I don't have a stroke on it, and the white space is flowing out of the box, okay? And that's essentially it. I would probably, if this was mine, I would take more time. I'm looking at this all together. You know, how they look individually is important, but also how does it look as a series, as 4 on a page, and let alone, you know, 4 different pages, how does it look all together, okay? I'm going to want to consider all of those factors. So for me, I'll probably change this a little bit. I'll maybe push this around. I don't mind the reverse of this, but you know, you can take the time to tweak, okay? Those are the easiest ways to work through this exercise. If you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to seeing your work.